Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Ask Dave. And today, the musical question is, why do we listen to bad recordings? I've been doing a series called The Least Ideal Symphony Cycles and things like that by various people. And some people have chimed in with comments saying, why do you even talk about this stuff? If they're bad recordings, only talk about the good ones. Just recommend, that's not what criticism is. So I wanted to answer this question. Why do we talk about bad recordings and why do we listen to them? Well, first of all, let's talk about the first and most important answer. Initially, straight off the bat, it's fun. It's fun. If you like a piece, if you collect that piece, you want to know everything about it. You want to know what people do to it. You want to hear what happens when perverse things are applied. There's nothing wrong with that. That's good, clean, healthy collector's fun. It really is, especially if it doesn't cost you anything, which is really basically what's happening now with streaming services and whatnot. You can dip your toe in and listen to any piece of crap that suits your fancy. And it's your time to do with as you please. It's your pleasure. It's your leisure activity. So nobody has a right to criticize you for listening to terrible performances. Even assuming, let's get this straight too, we all agree on what the terrible performances are. Some people don't think they're terrible. Some people love them. Or they love them because they're terrible. There's every possible range of enthusiasm, and there's a place for bad performances in most of those. So we have a good time doing it. Isn't that justification enough? Isn't that what listening to music is? It's we enjoy ourselves. And as long as we enjoy ourselves, we can do whatever we damn well please. But let's be a little bit more intellectual and talk about perhaps the philosophical reasons for dipping our toes into dreck. Number one, it teaches us about the range of interpretive possibilities in a work. It helps us to get to know the work, to know what works, what doesn't work, what's right, what's wrong, what the composer may have intended, what the performers do, how performers approach the act of interpretation. All of those things are better apprehended if we have bad performances to listen to. They absolutely are. Now, for people who complain about the fact that I talk about bad performances, well, that's kind of nonsense because you don't have to listen to them. And you don't have to watch the videos. You have to do any of it. So what's your problem? Other people enjoy it. So there you go. But that's really one main thing. They do teach us. And they teach us, I think, sometimes in very, very, very useful ways. Even basics of what the composer really wrote. It's very interesting. If you look at it historically, there was a time when nobody knew whether a performance was good or bad readily, unless the badness only came in the form of obvious technical deficiencies, bad playing that you could tell because performances were live. There were no recordings. You might not ever hear a work more than once in your lifetime or more than a couple of times if it was extremely popular and you had to physically go to a concert. And the conductor of that concert might be a complete whack job who massacres the piece, and you would be none the wiser because you wouldn't have a score. And maybe if you played it at home on your piano in a reduction of some kind, you would know the work. But chances are, whatever trash they were feeding, they were dishing out, was as good as you were going to get. Now, the situation is completely different because so much has been recorded. Everything gets recorded. Just junky daily subscription performances get recorded. And they're all out there. They're all out there for our delectation and to be able to make the comparisons. And that brings up point number 2, which is that we don't really know what the great performances are unless we have something to compare them to. And the best thing to compare them to is bad performances, right? Nothing exists in a vacuum, nothing at all. And the reason that we know performance A is absolutely fabulous is because performance B sucks. It really, really helps to have those sucky performances out there. And that means that they're worth paying a little bit of attention to. Now, I don't think you should spend your life collecting bad performances. I mean, I collect party records. I mean, I do things that are so awful that they're funny. But generally speaking, and I hang on to things, many more things than I should for professional reasons. But in my life, in my normal life, I will occasionally listen to a performance that isn't so good, or I enjoy listening to one that isn't so good because it reinvigorates my understanding of what the great ones are and what they do. And, we wouldn't know what great standards of playing, of interpretation, of sonics, any of those things are, unless we had ready to hand examples of the opposite that we can compare in real time. I should think that that is an obvious point, but evidently some object to, that obvious point. And if we're going to have a conversation, a critical conversation about, certain works and how they operate, then we will have a much more informed conversation if we have a broad appreciation of the range of performances, good, bad, and indifferent, to which the work in question has been subjected. So it makes for a more vibrant discussion amongst ourselves. And I think that that's part of the reason we're doing this. So that's a valuable thing. It really is. It really is, I think, very, very, very healthy. And thirdly, not everything is great all at once. Some things are all totally. Sometimes it's patchy. We have what the Brits call the curate's egg. I always wondered what a curate's egg was. Well, apparently it was an egg that a curate had, and some bits of it were good and some bits of it were not. So that's what a curate's egg is. And there are a lot of curate's egg performances out there. You listen to them for the good bits. You listen to them for the bad bits. You listen to them for, mostly sometimes startling, wonderful insights. That I remember listening to Stokowski's recording of the planets, which is not a very good recording of the planets. And it's a very strange recording, not just because he changes the orchestration around, which he normally does, but also because of its extraordinary emphasis on the woodwind section. Stokowski was a string guy, sumptuous, sensual, but he understood actually that the planets is emotionally speaking pretty icy cold, and the woodwinds are like Klemperer-like forward to this performance, which was really odd. And so you listen to this performance, and it has its moments, but there's one moment, the moment in the last planet. What is it? Neptune, the mystic, right? Where the female choir stops for a second, and then just before the very end, and then the orchestra comes in with a soft tap on the tam-tam, and the strings are going, and the harps are going, the celestas, the celesta, whatever it's called, is going rippling along, and he just nails it. That one moment, with the tam-tam, it's amazing. That wonderful soft tam-tam moment, with the rest of the orchestra gently behind it. It just blows your mind, and it tells you, first of all, Stokowski was a wizard when it came to orchestral color, but it also shows you what can happen to change the entire complexion of a performance if you get one moment exactly right. Or just compelling. I mean, I remember that. It sticks out like a sore thumb from the rest of the performance, that one moment, because nobody else does it like that. And ironically, it's exactly what Holst wrote. I mean, he didn't change anything. He's just realizing what's on the printed page to an unprecedented degree of vividness. And so you never know where you're going to find those. I know that some of you will have your own. I mean, if you want to contribute something, your own unprecedented moment of vividness, I'd be curious to hear what they are, because bad performances often contain amazing moments, and you wouldn't want to miss them. It's all information accumulated and processed. And so the last point I want to make about why we listen to bad performances is that our own understanding of a piece of music, each individual does this differently, but is really a composite, isn't it? I mean, it is for me. I don't know about anyone else, but when I know a piece of music really well, I don't have any one specific performance in mind. I have an ideal performance in my head, which is an assemblage of all of the great and not so great performances I've heard, with those moments stuck in. And when I think about a piece of music and I think about the parts I particularly like and I hear them in my brain, what am I hearing? I'm hearing my own version, partly. It's filtered through my own perceptions, obviously. But also, it may very well be that some of my favorite performances of a movement, or what goes into making my own gestalt, of the work in my brain, is based, at least partially, on some of those lousy performances or those less ideal performances. Like, for example, that moment in Neptune that Stokowski does. I mean, that's the way I hear it. And I'm so happy that I can hear it that way, even though I ignore everything else that he does in that performance. And that's, I think, a normal thing, because you never know what is going to reach out and grab you in a performance, and how much of it and how well it's going to be sustained. Obviously, a great performance is, we can do the objectively great, technically fabulous and interpretively very clear and, expressive, but ultimately it all depends on what holds your attention and excites your imagination for the longest period of time. If a performance does it for its entire length, well, then we say it's a great performance, or at least we say we love it entirely. If it isn't, then you're going to have to pick and choose. And there's some works, Mahler symphonies, I think, are the case in point for me anyway, that are so big and so complicated and so rich that it is virtually impossible to hear a performance that doesn't get something wrong, or that is absolutely fabulous at every possible moment. And so we listen to multiple versions, and those versions may be as good as we can get them, and some of them may be not so good but have great moments. And our own view of the work and understanding of the work and feeling for it will be, like I said, a composite, pieces of a puzzle, all put together. And you never know where those pieces are going to come from. So if you care about a piece of music, if you love a piece of music, then you're going to want to hear as many versions as you possibly can, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. And you will take whatever bit you need to create your own understanding of what the piece of music is. Because the fabulous thing about a piece of music, of course, is that it doesn't exist physically. It only exists while it's being played in real time, or possibly while you are perusing through it in your own imagination. And we all have very vivid imaginations, or we wouldn't be listening to classical music, right? I mean, that's the whole idea. And so we discover constantly new ways of adding to our picture of what a piece of music is. And that's an absolutely thrilling process. And not so good performances have their place in that process. How much time you want to spend indulging in, not great performances, well, that's up to each individual person. And what point you want to put a period and say, okay, I'm satisfied. This is what it is. It's okay. I'm happy. I can move on. Well, again, that's up to every individual person. But not great performances definitely have their place. And so those are all the reasons why I think we pay attention to them every so often, and why artists, when they get bad reviews and things like that, they really shouldn't care, because all they should care about is getting mentioned. There is no such thing as bad publicity. And you never know. You just never know how the performance is going to affect individual listeners. So there you have it, my friends. Keep on listening to the good, the bad, the big, the beautiful, the ugly, just keep on listening. That's the point, that you keep on listening. Thank you for joining me, and take care.